Welcome, everybody, to the Fall Line with Chaos and Company. This is season number 6, Angelo, and we've got to put a big shout out as we get going here. We've got our same sponsors back, our friends of the podcast. Blizzard Technica is staying with us another season, so we're still full of them, Angelo. We got to keep that going, but they've been really super good, and they support the podcast, and thank you to Blizzard Technica. Nick's boot fitting out there. Nick does a lot of stuff. I know Troy goes over there and sees him quite often to have his stuff when he needs some stuff done, and then we always go see Nick. Nick is phenomenal with his team. And then also Rollerblade with Miles. They've been supporting us quite a bit. So thanks to all them. And as you might watch this podcast, if you kind of like it, which I think most of you will, we've got 4 of our Alpine team members, one being the coach, Coach Rogan. And so, yeah, please give a like or subscribe on any of the platforms you listen to. It really helps us with the algorithm. And I have to say, Angelo, we've got 4 faces, 4 incredible people on this podcast that also this team. Katie's been on, and I know Troy's been on a bunch of times. Michael's been on like a co-host. We now have Zoe, as we've been talking about for a while. But the team has been very, very helpful to, people like listening to the team. So we love when you guys and gals give us the time, and we know you're busy down there in Portillo, which is cool. When we're up here cooking right now in the 90s to be able to chat with all of them. So thanks to you, Coach Rogan, and for the team members for the support for the podcast, because it's definitely a lot of folks love getting on and talking to us. So thank you. But we have Troy Walsh, and Troy, thanks for doing the legwork, chatting with everybody down there to get the crew up. It's awesome to see a bunch of the team down there. I know that alumni were there last week. Jonathan Palou was skiing, and also Eric Lipton. So that's pretty cool. So Troy's here. We've got Katie White. Katie, you were with us last summer. We got to chat with you, which is awesome. And Zoe's on for her first time. This is awesome, but we will have to schedule right after this the second time to have Zoe on to highlight just Zoe and chat with you. And then Coach Rogan, our Alpine coach, the man, the king, who's been on. How many times have you been on, Angelo? About 12?
I'd say at least. I'd say a season's worth is
a season's worth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my God, it's so hopefully. And I know that he'll
too much.
No, I don't think so. But I thought as we just kind of started out, kind of a little round robin, just to chat about what's going on, what you've been doing. We know Katie's been down there skiing all summer, and we know Michael has, and just to kind of see what everybody's been doing. And I figured we'd start with the coach, because we got to make sure the coach gets in and gets to chat. But what's been going on, Coach, and what do you have to say about how the summer's been going?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all 4 of us are here in Portillo, Chile. It's been a good season up to now. It got warm the last couple of days. We had every week is something different, which is wonderful. And we've had great skiing, and it's wonderful to have, this week, have teammates around. Katie and I are here the whole summer, but to have Zoe in and Troy in and Jonathan, and as you said, Eric last week, and then KJ comes in next week, I think. Robin Barnes is here as well. So it's just wonderful. It's nice when people stop in and enjoy the skiing and what Portillo has to offer. The season has been good. Started out pretty good. Right now we're in a warm spell. South America itself is in a warm spell. So snow is a little bit melting, but it's still really, really good skiing, albeit a little limited in kind of the places. All the runs are open. All the chairs are open. Everything is open and good. It's just, there's windows of opportunity when the snow is optimal.
How are your skis after Troy's been there 3 or 4 days?
I don't know. I trust Troy Walsh to take care of my skis or his skis. I mean, that's the beautiful part about being on the same equipment, is that Troy can travel down with a couple of bindings to help me out, and I can provide him with skis. So I don't know how they are. You'll have to ask Troy.
Well, I know he brought his tuning equipment, so hopefully it wasn't just to tune when he got there. Hopefully he's going to tune when he leaves, before he leaves, so everything's ready for you.
I tuned today because tomorrow's supposed to be cold in the morning, and that's like, yes.
And Katie, you're down there the whole summer. You live in that endless winter, and I know we did talk last year when we had you on during the summer when you were down there that you do have some breaks in the shoulder seasons to kind of get more of a fall or a spring type, at least a little bit of summer before you get down there. But how's the summer been going on, and what's up with you?
Yeah, I mean, Michael summed it up nicely, but from the ski school side of things, it's been really great. We have an awesome team this year, and some really cool up and comers in the PSIA world, which I'm excited about. And we were pretty busy in July, and now this is the time when the school slows down a little bit. We've got some camps here, like Zoe and Troy are here with the NASTEC camp. So our school quiets down a little bit, but this is our time, our window to really ski and do some training. So I'm looking forward to that. And it's always nice spending time with teammates and people that are coming down to visit for a couple weeks. So, yeah.
And Michael, you've been down there a bunch, bunch of years in a row. And Katie's been down there. You've been down there a few years now. I mean, it seems like, and maybe it's just because I'm in tune a little bit more, seeing what the team's doing, but it seems like more of the team members are getting down there in the summer and gives you more time to get together. Or has it been like that in the past?
It's been a little bit like that, but, it certainly this year is a good year. It's good. In the past, KJ's come down, Kevin Jordan's come down, Josh Fogg has come down. Last year, Stephen Helfenbein was here. Brenna Kelleher has come down a few years in a row. But I mean, Portillo is a nice place. It's a cool place to hang out. And if you're like skiing, and it's hazy, hot, and humid in the U.S. or smoky, unfortunately, it's really it's a nice place to get a little bit of a break from that type of weather and get back on your skis and slide around in some winter or some springtime. And it's just a really nice, convenient place. I think it helps that, Katie and I are down here, and it's a good place for people to come and visit, but we love it when teammates come down because it gives us energy. You get tired quick. It's a short season, but it's a sprint and it's exhausting. But when you see the faces of our teammates show up, it gives you energy. So you don't need a day off. You just need to get re-energized, and they do that.
Cool. And Zoe, welcome to the Fall Line with KS Company. It's psyched to have you on. And I'm serious. We need to schedule a time when we finish this up to definitely have you on again for the fall. But you're down there, and the camp you're with is Chris Fellows camp, I believe, right, Chris? We've had Chris on.
Yeah, so we're down here with NASTEC. NASTEC has been coming to Portillo for a really long time. This is the 31st season of Portillo NASTEC camp. So that's really exciting to be part of that. This is my first time coming to Portillo with NASTEC, but I've been to Portillo before. And it's just always a good time to get down here with some like-minded individuals and folks who just love skiing and want to nerd out about it.
Yeah. Now, is this the first time on snow since the West you shut down, or did you go to Hood? Or
I was in Hood in June, so but we are always looking for our fix. So it's great to be down here, and like Rogan said, it's a little bit warmer, but honestly, it feels like an extenuation of Hood and some of the spring skiing. So I'm having the best time.
Cool. And we got Troy Walsh, our Easter man. What's going on? I love that smile, man. You've been waiting all summer, digging holes and moving concrete around with the pools for Lanny, and you're back on snow, brother.
Yeah. It makes you really appreciative of the time that you can go slide. That's for sure.
So how's the snow this year compared to last for you? Because you were down there last season.
Snow is good, but it's not as much. There's a lot of places that are skiing just great. Maybe a little bit more narrow. So there's enough stuff to keep you on your toes. So you're not just kind of sailing through stuff, but I haven't skied or haven't been able to not ski anything that I skied last year. So I think it's fantastic.
Cool. And Angela, you're kind of part of this in terms of we're in season 6 of the podcast. You're my co-host, but you're a big part of what's going on with National with your education development manager position. So what's been going on with you on that end of things?
When you started to ask me that question, I thought you were saying I'm kind of part of this podcast.
No. You are part. You are the 50%, 100% baby of this, but you're a big part of the national crew.
I'm 1/3 at most. Yeah, we've been. I feel like I see Michael all the time. We've been on some pretty regular meetings, talking about some upcoming events, team training, starting to talk about Interski 2027. brainstorming. I got to see Troy a couple weeks ago. We sat down and recorded some stuff that'll be out for the membership pretty soon. But yeah, plugging away on some projects. We're wrapping up a pretty big phase of alignment process, getting assessment events aligned across the country. That's a very heavy lift. And the last couple of weeks, I've been focusing my energies pretty heavily on getting ready for fall training for ed staff across the country. So yeah, just busy doing all the summer stuff that you have to do before fall.
Cool. Busy. I know we haven't chatted a bunch. We've been kind of on text, but this is one of the first times we've actually seen each other and chatted all summer, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But and we've got some huge insight here. I mean, when I'm looking at the screen, I'm going, man, it's all over the world, not just in the country. But you all see what Angela and I see here in the East, and Troy does. We go out, we work with our membership, we work with regular students, but we see what folks are teaching on the Hill. What are some of your thoughts on where we need to grow, how our message is, are we getting it out? I mean, every year I look at it and go, okay, I tried to have this happen. These folks were deficient in skiing kind of in this zone or in teaching in here. And I try to figure out how to put out my message. And I know Coach Rogan wrote me something this morning that was maybe start the conversation off with your answer you sent me this morning when I was thinking about this question. He's looking.
No, I've got it. I'm right here. I'm good. But I mean, I think something that we should always be paying attention to is what do we as coaches need to know, and what do our students really need to know? I mean, if we're not careful, we can get caught up trying to tell our students everything that we know instead of what they need to know. And I feel like the more we know, the simpler we can make things. And that's our job, is to make things easy to be understood, easy to be heard, easy to be felt, just keeping things simple. In order to do that, you got to know a lot, but we don't need to spend a lot of time giving our students, trying to show them all I know. That doesn't matter. What I know doesn't matter. It's what they learn and what they feel. And those are the things that are important. So I'll let that start a conversation. Yeah.
I mean, anybody have any thoughts on that? Like, how do we keep the message simple? What are some of the messages you as team members see we need to get out? Troy's thinking.
I'll jump in.
Sure.
I mean, I think like a big piece is really paying attention to where our students are at, whether it's instructors we're training or people we're teaching on the Hill, and meeting them where they're at, what they're ready to process and learn, and kind of like putting our own agenda and our own goals aside and figuring out what their goals are and where they want to go. And occasionally, we help guide and help shape those goals, but we have to remember to meet people where they're at and their stage of learning. And I think, that goes along with what Michael's saying, that every time we ski with someone, we don't need to give them, the entire physics of skiing and biomechanics and history of skiing. It should be fun, enjoyable, and keep them coming back for more. Because that's the whole point. We want to create lifelong skiers.
Well, yeah, I think it's like this camp has been a pretty neat opportunity, because we do a little bit of a 45-minute stretch warm up in the morning, and just to be able to have people in their street shoes trying to move the way you want them to move on snow that's been really pretty exciting, because there's a lot of times we just don't get an opportunity to see how they can move in street shoes in our own teaching and our coaching, and we just don't have that opportunity or that time. So that's been really quite exciting to see someone start making changes inside the yoga room, inside the gym, but then all of a sudden their skiing starts changing. You're like, oh, that's kind of unique. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think, like Coach said, keeping things simple is really important. But to Katie's point, that skillfulness extends beyond just what we know about skiing. It also extends to how we are able to gather information from those that we're coaching, right? We need to be able to pull cues and information from those that we're with, so we understand how to meet them where we're at, how to simplify something so that it works for them. So we're not just trying to, word vomit all the information and hopefully something sticks. But yeah, I truly believe that gathering information piece is a huge part of the skillfulness that we need to own as teachers.
Sounds like we got to look a lot, Angelo, into how we set up that first part of a lesson of a day.
Well, yeah, and I agree. And what Katie said reminded me of something we talked about last year at team training, is like when you meet somebody where they are at the beginning of a lesson, that are is present tense. And so it develops in real time all the time. So where they are at 9:17 a.m. is not where they are at 11:14 a.m. and 1:37 p.m. And so that diligence of our diligence as the teacher to be constantly gathering information, like Zoe says, that's vital. That's everything. When we stop doing that, that's when the lesson turns into our goals instead of their goals. I'm glad you all brought that up. I think that's just huge.
Yeah. What are some of the questions? I mean, I got some talent here. What are some of the questions that you might ask, and just in general, specific to folks to try to draw information out?
I'm going to call on Zoe because she's grinning so big I can't not call on her. Zoe, what do you
They're all waiting for somebody else to jump in.
What are you saying on there, Zoe?
I'm just laughing because for those of us who probably do a lot of exams and that sort of thing, you constantly hear the question, how did that feel? Right? And it's great because the intent behind it is really positive, right? We want to learn something about our student. But sometimes our students aren't 100% sure how to put into words what they're feeling, right? Or maybe need a little bit more direction than that. And so I don't know if I have a, set of questions or anything like that, but I think, you want to gather information that's going to be pertinent to what you're trying to do. Right. And so something that's more specific to an activity that you've done or a specific part of the body or whatever it might be, I think asking some pointed specific questions is more helpful for you to learn some of that information. And then obviously nonverbal cues tell us so much as well.
Boom. I love it.
I like the, what, why, I guess where, how questions, like what do you want to work on? What's your goals? Where do you want to be skiing, or where do you want to take it? That kind of question. Why? What's the reason behind it? And then the how, like how are they perceiving what they're doing? Can you tell me when you did that, how did that turn to the right feel instead of just how did that feel, or I noticed you were more, I don't know, you flexed through transition. How did that feel different from your previous set of turns? Like those more specific questions. And that gives us a lot of information. But like Zoe said, the nonverbal probably tells more of a story, honestly. So it's paying attention to both of those things. And it probably depends on each person's communication style too. And how you can best gather that information. That takes some time to get to know people and know how they communicate.
I'm pretty quiet as it is most of the time. So it's when I ask a question, it's usually fairly kind of leading, but I've always loved it when they just start talking, and I can just sit there and listen. And when I hear it and they start running down the pathway, it's like, as soon as I start hearing how they describe skiing, that changes how I can start coaching their skiing. So it's something that, like what Angelo says, meeting where they are. So it's like, I don't try to use any like regular bigger words, but I try to use the words that those guys are using. And as soon as that happens, we just start talking. I get to speak their language versus they're trying to speak my language. So it, like I said, pretty quiet, listen a lot. And then I start.
And boy, when you start, battleship, here it comes. Go ahead, coach. I saw your hand up.
I think that, where Zoe started us with that question of how did that feel? I think that how did that feel is such a well-intended question, but it is so shallow. So you can't fault people for asking, hey, but often it becomes, hey, how'd that feel? And that becomes, okay, how'd that feel? How'd that feel? At some point in time, we got to get more succinct about, okay, how did what feel, where, when, and how, as Katie said. That then gives you the information to have a conversation about this piece or that piece, or remember here, or find a feel for something a little bit more specific than just everything. Because there's so many different sensations that happen in skiing. And there's so many different ways that you could ski down any run, or there's so many different changes in the texture of the snow that it could change first half to second half, right to left, top to bottom, first run to third run. All of that can change. So you just always got to be kind of categorizing questions, knowing how did that feel? There's something more to it than how did that feel? Because it's a well-intended attempt, but how did what feel? How did that feel when it was X, Y, or Z, or where it was this, that, or the other thing, or when it's going to be this, that, and the other? It's a well-intended question, but it's just at that. How did that feel? It's just too shallow. We got to be better than that. That doesn't help anybody in the process. It just makes it more gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there? Oh, go ahead, Angela.
Well, I'm curious because I think Troy mentioned language. You're all in another hemisphere, different country, cultural and language nuances that I'm imagining, experience there that are different from the States. Because the States are different from left to right. As you go from the east to Mammoth to do work, there are cultural and language differences, right? Circle ski versus line rotation. So it even happens here. But what I'm curious about is how, for each of you, those sorts of cultural and language differences affect your teaching process. Or do they affect your teaching process? And if so, like how does it affect you? Now I can edit, but it's really a pain to get Michael.
I think it's the best thing in the world is not being able to speak, not being able to communicate verbally. It just cuts the bullshit out. You can't say it. You don't know how to say it. You can't drag on. You can't try and explain it differently. You look for common grounds and feels and sensations and yeses and nos and thumbs up and thumbs down and maybe. And then you go do it. And then you look again and you check in. Oh, that was better. That was worse. It just gets rid of bullshit. And that's really what it is. We just start to talk too much about something that we've already said and move on.
That's a good avenue to go down. I mean, that's one thing we hear a lot, that there's a lot of talk, a lot of standing on the side of the trail, kind of the joke of what's the difference between a herd of cows and a PSA group. Well, the cows move once in a while. But I mean, how do you keep a group moving? I know I've watched many of you that come, watch Michael every year, watch Troy all the way through the year at events, and the groups move. What are some of the things to keep people moving? We can say pacing, but what are some of the things that you do to try to lessen the talk in your clinics? Do you?
I think for me, it's become a bit of a habit. Like over the years teaching in Portillo, I've had the experience of teaching many ski lessons in Spanish, which is my second language, and Portuguese, which is my third, and not so, it's pretty basic, but I can teach a basic ski lesson. But when that's all you've got, you can't stand around and talk. And so like I got in the habit of just like, vamos a hacer curvas, like we're going to make turns, and then we make turns, and that's pretty much, what you go do. And so then I think that ingrained for me personally into my teaching style, where it's like, let's say what we're going to do, where we're going to do it, and then do it. And we don't need to come back around and say what we're going to do again, because we already did that. And so, obviously, in our PSIA groups, that checking for understanding. And there's times when we need to dig in and have a technical conversation. But as Michael said earlier, we don't need to make it super complicated, and we're not going to, disseminate everything in one spot. So it's being succinct, maybe specific, and then do what you talked about. Let people explore it.
Yeah. Troy, you have a neat way. I think I look at it from Troy, just because I know Troy so well, like your analogies, and then the things that aren't even analogies, just some of your sayings, you throw it out there, and like after you say it, you just stand there, and it's like there's nothing else to say. You're like, let's go.
I mean, I'm not trying to do the filler part. Let's try this with our skis. Let's try that. Let's try over there, and go. And a lot of times when we're, you can take a place like this. It's like sometimes when I stop, it's not just for me. I'm stopping to keep everyone fresh and safe and whatnot. And you can burn some people up on some big hills if we don't take those moments and let them catch their breath. But in the same breath, I think being just being accurate, asking them, what are we asking to do with their body? What are we asking to do with their skis? And give them the opportunity to let them try it over and over and over again, because we all know it takes a long time to ingrain a movement pattern or change a movement pattern. So they're not going to change it if we're just talking to them.
Yeah.
I think when people are born in Maine, they're issued a manual at birth that they learn how to do that. Everybody I know from Maine is like that. Precision. Boom. Here it is. It's precise. It's going to be funny. And then you're going to remember it forever.
Yeah. It's that and a chainsaw and an ice fishing trap at graduation in high school.
Oh, and we're talking to people, so you're giving them feedback, and but Michael, I love Michael always. When he's on here, it's like don't get in their way. I think was one thing you said that's always stuck with me. Like you were talking about your beginners, like I don't want to get in their way. I have to make sure I stay out of their way. They've got to move to learn. But like when you're thinking about feedback, like how much, and this could be different for all of you, I think, but like how much do you rely on extrinsic feedback versus intrinsic in your teaching? Like how much is from the activities and you're using reflection and review, helping people through that versus when you have to direct something?
I think that's super dependent on the group, right? It goes back to that gathering information piece, right? Some people are going to need different things. If you think about somebody who's very, physically literate, they're going to probably be able to try an activity and you can give them something like an external outcome, and they're going to, work through some of their process to figure out how to achieve it. Some other folks, maybe it takes a little bit more coaching to be able to connect some of those movements and some of those sensations. So I don't think it's a one size fits all. And I think it really depends on the people you're with.
I'm struggling with the fact where I'm working on it, and it's been a goal of mine last year and this year is trying to give people the opportunity to recognize how they ski prior to we start coaching, so they have an opportunity to reflect on where they were to where they are. I think that's always a hard part, is that we get so excited about getting our group, we get start coaching, but we don't give them the grounding of saying, remember where we are now. So when we do say it change, how this changed or how this looks different or how that, how the ski performs different through there, they don't have any they don't have much of a reference point to look back on. So I've been really trying to keep that in my mind. It's like, let's ski a bunch, remember what this feels like, what it looks like to everybody, and then let's move forward from here.
I want to respond to that because first of all, I think that is brilliant to lay down a baseline of understanding for somebody before you start. That's next level. But I think that also provides a bit of a solution for that how did that feel question. Because all that takes is a little bit of framing, and then it can be valuable. If at the start of the run, you say, hey, when we get to here's what, to Katie's point, here's what we're going to do, and here's where we're going to do it. Right. So add to that, when we get to the bottom, I'm going to ask you where in your body physically you're feeling something different, so that it's framed from the get-go. And then when you get to the bottom, it's not, how did that feel? It's like, where did you feel something? And then as the coach, you can provide your observation. Say, well, I saw this and you felt that, and A plus B equals C. So you can go somewhere with that. And it's just a simple little tweak to make that question valuable. Troy, I love that idea of establishing a baseline before you even really get into the instruction part.
I'll go on mute now.
Yeah, you should just drop the mic, dude. Great. That was really good for you.
I've been practicing.
We'll have to make a reel just out of that, Angelo, right there. We're going to cut that piece out, reel for Troy.
Week, I just been riding my lift by myself, just thinking about what cool can I say? Something
there it
cool
is.
I can say.
Oh, man, I love it.
Bad for Ramena.
Yeah. Don't blow it.
Yeah. So Zoe, you were talking about, and anybody can answer, but I know, Zoe, you were saying, you got to read the group and the body language, and like, so in terms of like a feedback thing, like giving too much, giving too little, how much do all of you watch the group and like make sure you're like, okay, I'm going to give some feedback here, see how they react. Am I giving enough? It's too much. Like, how do you read yourself and how much you're giving? Is it enough or not? Angelo usually when Angelo's group skis off, that's when Angelo knows he's talked too much.
Happens all the time.
I think Matt Boyd said it once, like, really well. You just have to. There's a bit of, you got to put yourself in their shoes, right? Like, what would they want? Yeah. What do they want? Not what I need or want. Not my focus on my teaching, right? What would they want to do right now? But we still get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Even just down here. There was a couple mornings ago, I have a group that's like, man, they're focused, right? They're so motivated. They're hungry. They're excited. And we're working through just a concept. And as is kind of a tendency of mine, is I choose to share it in a couple different ways, hoping that, one of them resonates with the group. And what happened is some people were just internalizing everything. And so I quickly realized, like, folks were getting a little bit in their heads. We saw some skiing deteriorate a little bit. And that's the moment where you're like, all right, that's too much. We're just going to go lap it. No more information. We gotta digest a little bit. So it's not to say that there's a perfect way, right? We still end up making some of those like overstepping or whatever it might be. But the sooner you catch the signs, the sooner you notice that potentially you're not being as effective and you can make a change, the easier it is to come back from it.
I would consider that, in my view, and I'm wondering what you guys, I think that's great teaching to know, boom, I've gone too far. I got to make an adjustment here. This is what I'm going to do to rectify this. I mean, does everybody feel that way? I think people are so afraid, like at our assessments, to just teach that they don't do that. They don't get to the point like, oh, okay, I saw that. I'm going to make this decision. That old blue ring. I'm going to get it right tonight, Michael, because they picked on me. I called it a circle once on that learning connection model. I called it a circle. It's a ring. They made sure I knew it was a ring. So, but I mean, those decisions, how perfect can we be? It's hard to make those decisions perfect of, did I give enough, not enough? I feel.
I don't really think we have to be perfect. Like, I personally believe that as coaches and instructors and teachers, we are half of the relationship. And I think we should open the door and set the platform for our students to understand that they have the ability and the power to tell us what they need. And so when you're entering into that relationship, you can say, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a secret. I don't have to be guessing all the time what they need. I can tell my students, like, hey, if you need more, if you need less, if you need a brain break, if you need to ski away from me and ride the chair without me, just tell me. And that eliminates some of the guesswork. And it also, I think, helps increase their awareness in this setting of how to be coached, because then sometimes people, like, they're showing up to a coaching setting not even knowing like what they really want. Like, do they want feedback or not? Right. And so I think if we can help create that awareness loop for them to then say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need feedback on that run. It was garbage. I know it. Don't tell me. You know, I'm going to ski away. I'm going to ride the chair by myself and think about it. And then I'll see at the top. I don't think we have to be perfect. And I think it's really good to include our students in the conversation, for sure.
Coach.
That's why that blue ring, not circle, is so important. Because as Katie said, as Zoe has said, as Troy, it's where we end up a lot of the times. If you only make one decision and you don't make any more, you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. It's the only way to know if it was a bad one is to ask and find out. Then you make another decision. You might make the same decision, or you might make a different decision, but you make more decisions. You look at the constant situation changing and going, okay, how do I address this? Might be more, it might be less, it might be more pointed, whatever it is. But when you don't keep making decisions, when you don't keep asking questions or looking for opportunities or paying attention to how it's going, if you're in tune, I mean, this is dog training 101, really. If you're in tune, the dog's energy is a reflection of yours, and you know if you don't know, then it's probably shitty. if you don't know how it's going, you probably it's going to tell you that it's not going well. If you really don't know, if you can't be in tune with that energy to go, yeah, this isn't going well, then you know, and then you just go, you make a change and you make a new decision. If it's going well, then you make another decision and you go, okay, where can we keep going? But if you're not in tune with that, you're just not in tune. You're missing it. You're there. You know, I keep throwing them, you keep missing them.
I think that just became the commercial.
There you go.
if you don't know, it's probably shitty.
That's a t-shirt.
That's an honest teacher. Right?
We can make some money on that one.
The sad thing, people are probably just politely smiling and playing along.
Yeah. But it's a balance, isn't it? Like, don't you feel that, like, I know Troy loves to challenge in his activities, and I do too. I mean, when we're putting an activity, you want to see what people can do. You don't want to make it that they kill themselves, but you want to, I mean, if everybody can do the activity perfect when you put it out there, where's the learning? Where's the gold? Where do you need to have some challenge? And that, to me, that's the coaching. That's the reading them. Did I make it too tough? Do I need to make it easier? Should I make it tougher? Was it too easy for them? How can I challenge them? I mean, how do all of you use your activities that way? You must use your activities to challenge people to get them to ask questions and think about what they're doing.
I think for me, that's one of the biggest pieces. It's like the coaching will stay there's a thread in the coaching, whether or not it's if I'm trying to do a couple different activities, but I love it when I've given some feedback. And then the next, you catch up with that person again, and all of a sudden they start talking back through, and all of a sudden they land back into the spot where you're giving the feedback, and they're like, "Oh, that's where that was." And you're like, "Yeah." So they're showing growth and maturity in their understanding. It's like a lot of times the feedback is me listening and just kind of gently guiding them to where their feedback came from before. So it's like, yeah, we're trying to keep a thread, this understanding of the movement pattern that we're trying to adjust today and tomorrow. It's like, it takes a while to change. So keep the line, hold the line.
Hold the line. Hold the line. There's another one, Angela. Hold the line. Oh, and let's change a little bit of subject to something a little more, I think, a little more ski technique. But it was fun to watch. There was some stuff on Facebook. Jonathan Blue had up a little video, and Eric had it up of Eric Lipton and Jonathan Blue coming down one of the cool chutes out there, pretty tight with the rocks on each side. And even with the video, it looked pretty steep because I know it was steep. And they came down through it really cool. But those definitely weren't the turns we see a lot of on social media now, that awesome retraction type absorption transition turn where it's real short and archy in the fall line. And it always seems to be, Troy, on blue terrain, doesn't it? It's always on some easy.
Good snow, good pitch.
Yeah, it's always great snow, groomed out, buffed, and great movements, and that's what everybody looks at that short term. But I'm curious, like watching those two guys come down through, two of your fellow alumni teammates come down through there skiing some really tough snow, ungroomed, down through there. To me, that was just probably almost more exciting in terms of what they had to do and how they used their equipment and how they skied down through there. I'm just curious. I know Coach has some opinions on that, which are not, they're all positive, but it's like on that turn being pretty spectacular that we see on YouTube, and we see it on Facebook all the time. But like, there's more to skiing than that, right? Katie's shaking her head big time. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think part of like why we train a lot of this stuff. I mean, for me personally, like why I used to do a lot of hop turns training for my level 3. I had to figure out the why, and that run called Gargantilla Uno was a why for me. Like, because there are some spots in there where you really truly have to hop turn, and so I mean, I think it's a different application of our skill set, and that run is incredibly challenging. That snow when they skied it was challenging. It's narrow. There's bumps. It's rocky, and I mean, yeah, it's not a perfectly carved short turn on a blue groomed slope. But I think when you practice those type of turns, the precision that a really nice round arced carved turn requires, then you can change the application of the skills and apply it in different types of terrain and be able to make it look like they did. That was really great skiing and very dynamic, and it was really cool to see.
It was cool. Definitely cool. Coach, you got some pretty awesome comments you wrote to me when I was talking about that. I wanted to talk about that short turn. And because I was asking and curious the team, because I know that we focused a lot on versatility and going off piste but so much of what we see on social media is that kind of turn, and it's great. But does it push people to only practice one thing? Because I know Mr. Rogan tells me to practice many different things.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, there's not many things in skiing more sexy than a nice, clean arc turn. I mean, you can't argue it. You can't dispute it. It's utilizing the ski for its purpose. When you see somebody do it well, and by doing it well, I mean connect more than one. That it's really good. It's good. It's efficient. It's effective. You got to have some strength. You got to have some touch. You got to have all of those things. My challenge, I guess, when all you see is that, it's exciting to watch as well. It's exciting. If you were to watch a basic parallel turn, although I might think that they're equally sexy, but it's for different reasons. But when you watch, Eric and Jonathan ski a chute that's steep and narrow with rocks in the middle and snow that's not great, and they do it, and it makes it seem like it's relatively effortless. You have to acknowledge the skillfulness of that and the ability, because there is no doubt that leading or after that chute, it opens way up, and there's a place to let it open up and be wide open and let the ski do some of its work. And then you end up onto a groomer run, And there's actually a couple of GS gates that you could finish out with some carving. So the beautiful part of that is that it's not if you can just do this, but can you do this and that? If you only got one trick, sooner or later you get caught. If you only got one thing, sooner or later you're going to get caught. If you only got one approach, sooner or later you're going to get caught. It happens to ski teachers. It happens to exam candidates. It happens to students. It happens to World Cup ski racers. If they don't have the versatility and the wide base to be able to draw from, you're going to get caught. And you can't problem solve if all you have is one answer. If you have a choice, then you can problem solve a little bit. If you got three choices, you can problem solve a little bit more. If you got the more choices that you have, the more options that you have, the better you are at problem solving in any condition. And, but at this, you got to, it's not an easy place to be. It's a narrow little chute. It's not great snow. There's rocks in the middle of it. Jonathan was on a GS ski, so that was under 70 under the foot. Those aren't easy to manage and deal with. Eric had a little bit wider one, so he has a little bit more relief. Nobody was on a slalom ski, but both of those two could ski it on a slalom ski if they need to, because they have lots of options. They got experiences to draw from that allows them to plot a solution for a complex problem, and have a good, smooth outcome. That's the beautiful part of skiing. And if there's only a way to do it, and this is the way, you're going to get caught. And you see it time and time again in exams. You see it time and time, with online coaching. You see it time and time again with online knuckleheads that are YouTube stars. I think it was like, I don't know. I'm thinking like, maybe it was a Helly Hansen uniform. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But if you know what Helly Hansen stands for. But if you get caught, you get sooner or later, if you only have a way to do it, or that's the only way that you coach it, then as a result, you're going to get caught sooner or later. You're going to get to a situation where that's not going to be the best approach.
Gosh, you guys, we do events on the weekends. Do I want to do that turn on a busy holiday weekend? It's like, I'm taking my life in my own hands. It's crazy. And just kind of, it's another saying, right? When all you have is a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. So it's like, if that's the turn I got, I'm going to find a spot I'm going to struggle with. So get better at all kinds of turns.
Angelo.
This is half cooked, and I fully admit that it may absolutely go nowhere, but I have to say it. And I'm trying, and I haven't even figured out how to even say it, but let me take a shot. I love what you said, Michael. I love what you guys are all saying, but I think it's a big ask for a lot of folks, because I'm sitting here thinking about most of what people do outside of skiing. Yeah. So like golf, road biking, even mountain biking. Yeah. I'm not going to bust on golf, Michael. I'm just using it as an example. Everything. He's going to remember this. I'm in November 5th. I'm going to get picked up, but what I'm getting at is that ability to give yourself permission to not be perfect, to measure something against creativity, measure something against subjectivity, is not a skill set that I see nurtured a whole lot in my life. The things we do, let's just say our membership, 34,000 of us. The things we do, we mostly try to measure against some metric. I got to get my time down. I got to get my score. I got to get my golf score down. I got to, I don't know what else people do. I got to kick my field goal farther. We're always measuring against something that you put numbers on, and that affects our mind. And so I've seen this. Maybe this will garner a response. Like when I ask people to do something creatively on skis, you all can almost see the struggle happen in their head. Like you're going to drop into that bump run, but I want you to do a rail slide on that berm before you slide down into the bumps. And it's like, oh, what do you mean? And that freedom to get creative and be different from just a precise slalom turn, is really a leap for a lot of folks because they spend so much energy trying to perfect that. I got to get that 13-meter turn. I got to get my carve score up to this. Like we're so driven toward being uniform and the same that I think that presents a struggle when people may look at Jonathan and Eric skiing down there and say something like, well, he got in the back seat on that turn. Nobody has to respond to that. I just felt compelled to say it.
No, Angelo, I have a response to that because I think that
Thank you so much, Katie White.
that resonated with me because this happened to me in my skiing, and I see it happening, especially for instructors, like going through the certification process where maybe they get a little bit too focused. And this was my experience on doing the like individual activities that are asked of us, and all of a sudden I guess what I call it is I skied myself into a box. Like I didn't have versatility like Michael's talking about. I wasn't exploring my range. I wasn't exploring a variety of movements, and therefore I got like I couldn't when I was in, challenging terrain or conditions that I wasn't used to skiing in my little perfect world, things blew up. And then I had to learn to rebuild. And honestly, I think that's probably, you kind of see it like for people, it generally happens like maybe right before they're 3 or right after they're 3. They go on this exploration and then they really, everyone says after you get your level 3, you really start to learn. But I think that's because the pressure's off and you can figure out what it feels like to point your skis more down the hill and ski outside of your box. So I hear what you're saying. I think sometimes the metrics maybe constrain us a bit, and playing with creativity and movement in different ways is really good for our learning.
Right. I agree. I love that. And and I talk about skateboarding a lot on this podcast because that's what I do. Like that's one of my other things. I do play golf, Michael, except it's disc golf. And I don't know if that counts in but I do play. Okay, I can see you can, but it's challenging anyway. But we came up on skateboards. It's a very, very different mindset. And if I tried to apply the same system to skateboarding at the skate park that we apply on the ski hill, the skaters I know would look at me like I have an alien head. And it's kind of the same, the opposite in the ski world. If I ask people to get creative, it's kind of like that alien head moment. And I think both of those activities could benefit a lot from the other. You can get better at a particular trick if you break it down and get precise and practice these movements and do it systematically. Right. So you can learn the trick that way, but then the glory comes in applying it creatively like nobody else has done. And I don't see a lot of that in alpine skiing, so skateboarding can benefit from our mindset on the ski hill, but I certainly think skiing, our mindset could benefit from more of a skateboarding or go make some art and then go ski and see how your mindset changes. Anyway, Michael, I see your hand up. Are we going to talk about disc golf?
No.
Okay.
I was just going to ask Zoe, how many different conditions did she ski today on purpose? I mean, there was just how many different conditions did you ski on purpose? And when did you find just the right snow versus not just the right snow, but you embraced it anyway? I mean,
yeah, it's so interesting. Well, because obviously I found a lot of different conditions. But there were some times when I wanted to get the ski to perform a certain way. So maybe I was seeking out one condition or another. But the conditions change throughout the day. And I love what Michael said about having different choices. So yes, I agree. Like, we want to have the freedom to have this creativity. So if you end up in a different condition, different terrain, that you can do what's necessary to stay in balance, move with the tool, stay upright potentially. And oftentimes we watch some of the skiing that looks exciting, right? And we see some recoveries, right? It's not perfect skiing. But what we don't see when we look at those exciting videos is the long hours and time that it took to get to hone in some precision, right? And I when we coach a lot of people, especially like Katie said, those going through the cert process, I think one of the big challenges is people start to be like, well, I'm losing my individuality, right? I'm being asked to do all these things in a certain way. And I think what I try to help people understand is if you don't have a good foundation with some of the basic things that are going to give you those choices, then you're not going to be able to explore how they're going to come to fruition on the hill, right? If you only have two choices, like, yes, maybe you feel creative with those two choices, but you still only have two choices, right? So you still only do the same two things. Now, if you take a little time, take a step back, do those basic parallel turns and give yourself a few more choices with all the training that we do, then you can go out and maybe it looks not perfect, but still exciting because you have some recoveries and you have these choices. And so when you end up somewhere that you're not expecting the condition to be a certain way, or you weren't ready for that bump, or a rock came out of nowhere, it can still look exciting and athletic the way Jonathan and Eric made it look, even though it wasn't 100% perfect. They just had a lot of opportunity to draw on their experiences.
And as Joey, it's got to be rooted in good technique. I mean, it still has to be rooted in good technique. I mean, that has to be the case. But good technique provides, as Zoe said, provides options and opportunities and choices.
I like that. And how much is this, Michael? You said big focus. You sent back me. I was asking, what's the big focus? What's going on with the team and stuff? And you're like, inner ski and examiner training. So a lot of this stuff in terms of the coaching piece, and Zoe and Katie and Troy talking about how to read people and that whole collaboration in the beginning of finding out who they are. I mean, Zoe went through that, I think, very well in the beginning, letting people know that that is part of our examiner training, hopefully, isn't it, Angelo? Since you're in charge.
Yep. Wow. Loosely in charge.
Loosely. But I mean, I think that's, I don't want to, I'll pick on myself. I think that I need to model those very well in terms of, as Zoe and everybody on this was talking about how to read the group. Not just what they're saying, but their body language came out. Zoe and Katie both hit that pretty hard. Like, body language is important, and those nonverbal cues that we want to hit, that we need to be aware of those. Michael was talking about, what was the hit there? If you don't know, it's shit. Some self-awareness. I mean, we need to model that for our members for them to come and do it at our assessments. I think if we're not modeling it, how are they going to do it?
It's not easy though.
No. I mean, so I said I have to work on it.
You know a lot to make it simple. You got to understand a lot. There's a lot that goes into making things simple. It's a complex sport. It's a complex profession. Every individual is different. Every situation is different. So it's not easy, which means that we got to know an awful lot. But we got to know a lot so that we can make good, simple, quick, efficient, effective decisions, and not run about at the mouth. Just, what did Zoe say? Verbal what? Was it verbal vomit or verbal diarrhea? Excess use of.
I didn't say language. That.
Yeah.
But you got to know a lot. You got to know a lot to be able to make it simple. It's not easy. We all got to work on it always. And the beautiful part of this group, and the group that Katie, Zoe, Troy, and I are a part of, is that group does that pretty good. I think, we can always get caught, but but we're pretty good with each other to say, I'm not quite sure about that. Let me think about that more. Or, you just question it a little bit so that we go, oh boy, maybe I gotta go back and look at this. I got to do some reflection here to see what I really think or believe. And that's the beautiful part about being a part of this group for the membership.
Yeah. And the team's talented. All of you are talented, man. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. It's awesome. Our members love hearing from you, love the info. And I want to know, like, when you look at each other, ones on this call, what are some of the attributes and things, the skill set you see in someone else, one of your other team members that's on this call, or even the coach, that you're like, that's something I think is very important. It's something I try to do. He's hitting his unmute. He's ready to go.
Well, it's because I love talking about how awesome my teammates are.
They are. You go ahead.
I wrote them down to you, and
yes,
you can go on to everybody. But I mean, and I'll have to step away. So this would be a good segue for me to bail out. But I mean, Zoe just exudes energy, and I know when you get around Zoe, no matter what happens, it's going to be awesome. It's just going to be awesome. It's going to be informative. It's going to be challenging, but you get drawn to that energy. Like you just go, I want to be over there near that. That's cool energy. And that cool energy, in this case is Zoe. I mean, she's got that cool energy that you just want to tag right up and be right next to, because it's going to be awesome. If I get to continue, Katie is she just has this unbridled confidence. Like, whether she feels it or not, sometimes I don't know, but there's always this showing of like, I can do that, and I know that you can do that. So you know what? That means we can do that. So let's us do that. I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of confidence there, just to go, yeah, I can do that, or I'm going to give it a shot. You can do that. You can do that. Give that a shot. So therefore we can do that. So let's do that together and give that a shot, which is amazing. And Troy, in this case, I mean, we pick him out early from Maine, but I mean, that's one of the beautiful attributes of Troy is that he'll think about things, and he won't give you the acknowledgement right away that that's good or not. It'll take him a little time to process it. And then he's going to ask you a little bit more. And then he'll go, okay, I believe that you believe that. So therefore, yeah, we're good. I mean, that's the beautiful part about Troy is yes, sometimes he can be quiet, but that quietness is not just because he's not saying. It's because he's paying attention and observing and thinking, and he makes you think. So I mean, those would be these three in a nutshell. I mean, it's beautiful to watch, and when you see it go. The best part is when you see it go good, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. And when that type of energy and creativity and ability wants to do good things, it's amazingly good. And as we do sometimes as a group, when that group wants to get mischievous, boy, it's still amazingly mischievous. And it's awesome. It's awesome to watch, because those characteristics hold true for both sides of that coin. A little bit mischievous, a little bit creative, and for the positive attribute, for the job, the profession. So,
and we're not going to let the rest of them off the hook, Angelo. They still have to at least give something. They're going to go, "Oh, coach did it all." It's like, no, come on.
Well, that's part of the job of being a coach, is paying attention to what these guys are so good at and helping them be the best at what they can do. Yeah, but I have a phone call about a group that wants to do some things tomorrow. That we got to figure out how to persuade them maybe not to do all of the things that they want to do.
Well, Coach Michael Rogan, thank you for again joining us.
I leave you in great hands. I leave you in these three great pair of hands. These three folks.
Thanks, you, sir. So yeah, we can't let you off the hook, because I think, and the reason I asked is, like he said, it's important as a coach all of our members are out there coaching other people and mentoring other people. And I think it's important because I know all of you, just like Michael, have a good eye for when you see good characteristics. So I guarantee you can you can do the whole reaffirm. I know Troy won't. We won't let Troy do that though. And reaffirm, well, I agree with Coach Rogan. But I mean, what is something you see in some of the other team members? You got two others to choose from here.
Well, I think we can't forget to talk about Rogan too, even though he just got off the hook of getting nice things said about him, right? But I think, yes, he just displayed, right? He's really great at paying attention. He's really good at that. But I think mostly he's really good at loving. Like he just loves all of us and he loves being on the team and loves being a teammate. And it comes out in all that he does because he does everything with passion and care and love. And even if it's tough love, we feel it. And so I think that's something he's really good at. I think it's really interesting. I actually love this trio on the call right now because all of us are pretty different humans. You know, if you were to pull us from our own personal lives, right? You can obviously find similarities in everybody, but we all have some great differences. And I think that's the beauty of the makeup of the team. And, you know, you have Katie, which you can always picture her with a smile on and greeting everybody and being so supportive, right? And I think Katie just is this great supporter and Rogan said the confidence thing. I think she really builds confidence in others, right? She's really great at finding these amazing things in people and telling them about it. But I think what I admire so much about Troy, which is so different from me, is how comfortable he is in silence. And I know we laugh a little bit, but it's this beautiful thing where we end up learning so much more sometimes when we don't speak. And
Troy and I spend a lot of windshield time together. So I hear you.
I'm sure Troy has learned so many secrets about so many people because he lets people fill the silence. And I think that is a space that I continue to try and strive and be like Troy in that way, because I think it gives people that space to feel like they can share and he's able to learn so much about folks that way.
That doesn't really surprise Dave or Angela. Troy shows up at an event, he says 10 words, and it's like, all right, see you later.
That's why I love rooming with you, bud.
I think, when this group and our teammates back home, I'm always amazed on just how curious and just how they don't get frustrated with a lot of stuff. They just are so eager to learn and eager to try stuff, and they ebb and flow. Sometimes we have this thought that we want to stake our flag in, and all of a sudden we say that, but then all of a sudden we start to listen and we hear what people are saying, and it doesn't become a thing. It's just like, I had this thought, I'm running it past my peers. What do you think? And your friends are saying, yeah, that's pretty good. Or, you know what, maybe you might want to think about adjusting that. And it just happened. So I think we're just this beautiful comfortableness with receiving information and giving information out there that doesn't change it's not like we're trying to persuade anybody. It's like, I'm right on this thing. I'm not, and that person's wrong. It's like, we all listen to it. We all go through it. And sometimes we like, yeah, I wasn't on board with that in the beginning, but boy, once I figured it out, that's really, really special. So just being open, just really curious, really excited about learning, having fun with it.
I have a good story since Michael's not here. He knows. Last week I was struggling with some stuff in my skiing, and I had a few, maybe like an hour and a half to ski on my own, and I was kind of beating my head against the wall. And I actually video called him from the hill, and I was like on the verge of tears. And as soon as we started talking, I started crying because I was so frustrated. And Michael was like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, I'm on Las Lomas. And he's like, I'm coming. I'm putting my boots on. I'll be right there. Take one more lap. And like, to me, I mean, when you think about like what a coach and a friend and a mentor is and a boss, he and I have a lot of different roles together, but, that's it. Like he shows up, and every time I walk into his office, which is all the time. And like, I know he's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on, but he never looks at his phone, never looks at his computer. And he greets me, and he's like so happy to see me every day, even though he's probably like, God, it's the 15th time you walked in here. What now? But he knows how to show up. And I think that's an amazing characteristic, and he does it consistently. And, it's pretty cool. And then, I'm going to say what I admire about Troy and Zoe too. Troy, I love that Troy, like, you're so easy to be around. And I agree with Zoe that you probably do know a lot of people's secrets, including some of my own. You're so easy to talk to. And I feel like I can like bounce ideas off you without receiving judgment or this, like, you don't like, you never like talk down to me like, oh, this is what you should do. You're an easy person to talk to and, confide in and then guide. Like you said earlier, what you do with your clients, I think you do that on the team. You kind of quietly guide people. And that's a really cool characteristic. And Zoe, I agree with Michael that like people are just attracted to spending time with you. And I think part of it is that you stay so authentic in yourself, and you're not afraid to speak up when you disagree, but you always do it like in a very polite way. And you are always taking in multiple people's perspectives. And as a recovering people pleaser, I admire that so much, because like, it's so easy for me to just be like, I agree. Like, yeah, we should do that kind of turn because you said so, and I want to make you happy. But I think you do a really nice job of providing multiple perspectives and holding multiple perspectives and encouraging people to see them and think differently. So that's really cool.
That's awesome, Angelo. I mean, this shows trying to read, how to read people, how to show, it's great characteristics, I think, for people to use to emulate, to go, how can I be more like these specific things? How do I do these to be a better coach, a better teammate, better staff with my fellow staff members and work together as a team?
Are we going to do like annoying attributes?
Well, we will, but we'll do those as like the funny ones, But, we want them to come back. We got to at least have them back a second time before we do that. Then they say, we're not going back here anymore.
That's going to be like a whole 2-hour, 15-part kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Lipton will love that. That's what Lipton wants. Lipton wants, I want the annoying ones. He wants, all that kind of stuff. That's what he's been bugging us. You guys are getting too nerdy.
Let's do a Lipton roast.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, man. But it's cool because, I think it shows, the team collaborates. It definitely listens to each other, ask questions that get information, allow people to speak. I mean, that's been a hard thing, Angelo, for everyone to latch onto, I think, in our assessment form, our being able to collaborate with their students. It's kind of like I come in and this is going to be my program. I know, Katie, you spoke to it earlier. It's like you got to read the students. You can't like just go, I'm going to come in with my agenda, I think was the word used. And people are having a hard time with that collaboration piece of how to collaborate, how to ask questions. So we talked about, it's like, I need to go where they are. Those kind of things. So yeah, because that's on your ball game, Angela. You're the one that trained us on that.
You got to show up real. That just ended the training right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it real.
Yeah.
Show up real.
But it's been awesome. The last thing I wanted to ask is just, where everyone's going from here. I know, Katie, you're down there for the rest of the summer, which goes into early September, right?
September 27th.
No, she's got the date right there. So then home for kind of a little shoulder season before winter kicks in again, the endless winter. Anything on the agenda for when you roll home?
I'm going to visit my parents in Illinois and maybe travel a little bit down here, surf somewhere, but no solid plans yet.
Yeah.
Team training in November.
Yeah. Coming fast. And Zoe, after the program this week, where do you head and what's going on till winter?
Yeah, I head home to Montana, back to Big Sky, and we're deep in hiring and preparing for next season. So very exciting time for us, just getting ready for the season. So I get to be a part of that, which is awesome.
Cool. And Troy, you're going to be probably coming home, working on pools and what else, man?
Getting dusty. Hopefully riding bike a little bit. Just trying to, start really pushing the physical fitness side of it, because pool work isn't the easiest. So it's trying to get a little bit stronger, a little bit more flexible before the season starts. And just I was just looking at the calendar before and I was like, oh my God, December is full. January is full. Oh no, there's not much time left in February, so it's really looking forward to being on the road and doing events from the East and national. So be exciting.
Oh, well, this has been awesome. Thanks. I can't thank the three enough. I know there's other things you could be doing and hanging out with folks, and you spent time with Angela and I to let us put this out to the folks. What do you say, Angela? 2 or 5? What do we have? 5 listeners now?
I think it's about 4.
About 4.
One of them bailed.
One of them failed. But
we got an unfollow.
Yeah, we got an unfollow.
Hopefully someone has multiple personalities, so we don't know how many will listen to this.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'll tell my mom. We'll get a fish.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. And we got to hit it, Troy, because they always go by the wayside, and people need to hit, as they get ready to go into the ski season, to hit those 4 Nordica videos. Correct? You want to do a little blurb on that? Because those are that Nordica stepped in, helped you guys out to do that, and it's great stuff. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Then was the frequently asked questions, or the folks need to go watch those. It's
pretty
awesome.
Pretty special event, and that was really, to have a sponsor like that step up, it was really good. And the crazy thing about it, that was what, 3 years ago, and it still has some traction. People visit it. People come, they use that as their training piece. So it's wonderful. It's really, really wonderful that it's lasted this long. So super excited about being a part of the team with Nordica, and just, look forward to continuing this relationship.
Yeah. At least Nordica's in the same building, right?
In the same building, just on the other side of the hallway.
But have you seen, when you see the when they take the picture of the building in Austria, it is Technical Blizzard. Blizzard Technic is listed above Nordica. That's got to be for a reason on the building.
Yeah,
alphabetical.
We're starting to get into deep water now. We're all friends. We don't need to go there, do we?
If Michael was here, he'd be roaring right now, which I love. But
yeah.
Cool. But hey, thanks a lot. Have a great rest of the summer out there, Katie, and rest of your winter, our summer, and Zoe and Troy, have a great week, and hopefully I'll see Troy when you get back, and Zoe will connect. And we didn't have Katie on last winter. We just didn't in our summer, Angela. We got to have both the ladies on this winter. As we get into fall and winter, we got to do that. So
maybe a full ladies team. Full one.
We should do
awesome.
That's going down the list. We should do that. All the ladies on at once. That'd be sweet. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Angela can make that happen. He can send out the Zoom link just to the women.
Got the emails.
Yeah, we can do that. That would be killer. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And this has been The Fall Line with Chaos and Company.